With the 2015 RBS Six Nations approaching the third round, it's a good chance to check in with some of the rugby journalists who are following it closely. First up, their thoughts on bottom of the table, Italy.
Well, they're pretty much where I guess we expected them to be, and pretty much where probably they expected to be in their heart of hearts.
We thought at the start of the championship they'd struggle to win a game. I think that's still the case.
The usual shortcomings. They're a strong pack, but lacking in direction at half-back, and don't have a huge amount of threat in the three quarters. So it's all about that game against Scotland in Edinburgh.
The loss of Castrogiovanni to the dog bite is not going to help them, and I think disappointing. I expected a lot more from them.
They weren't always quite as imposing up front as we would expect them to be, as is their tradition, but it's good to see that their range is broadening. It's just still such a work in progress.
Oh, Italy were very poor, I thought. In Rome, they improved a little bit for the first 20 minutes in Twickenham, but no, they're also runs. They've gone backwards, I think.
Your view on Scotland?
The results haven't gone their way, but the performances haven't been too bad. They went close in Paris.
They're hard up front. They've got backs who will, show they can attack space rather than just bodies. It used to be just how big can the Scots backs be and can you stop them? They are going to be a really, really interesting team by the time the World Cup comes around.
I thought that they, having showed well in Paris, I thought that they would beat Wales, and I think when they look back on the video they might feel they should have beaten Wales. The look on Vern Coss's face at the final whistle suggested he won't put up with that again.
They could ruin the Grand Slam for Ireland though at the end easily, or they could ruin the championship for Ireland. They have a habit of doing that, so you can't really take them lightly, but no, they're not up there with the big lads at the moment.
What about the Welsh?
Against Scotland, they did what was needed. They got the job done, and they got so many good players in there, but it just isn't all clicking into place.
They've kept themselves in it with that win in Edinburgh, and they pulled that out later on, so that was impressive, but I think they're just short of Ireland and England this year.
I think they could beat France this weekend. I think Wales are a real threat, a real hassle for Ireland, regardless of what happens this weekend, because going to Cardiff, Ireland, it's a tough place for them to go.
Looking at the season now, that French game, I quite fancy them in Paris.
The ever unpredictable French.
Philippe Saint-André appeared to have picked the right set of players for once, but they went to Ireland and didn't get the victory when you thought it was easier for them to win because they had the personnel.
They don't look coached. They don't look like they're adding value in terms of, a collective performance that comes out of them above and beyond what the individual players can offer. And when you look at some of their powerhouse clubs and how they play, obviously with a healthy dash of international players, but they've got so much potential in there, and it's so sort of bizarre and unsettling for them that it's not coming out. And frankly, I'd be very surprised if they have a major say in how this title goes.
You look at the likes of Fofana and you think, goodness me, they should be on championship winning teams. He's not going to be this year.
How frustrating do you want to be? They've got fantastic players, we know that. When will they play like a side that actually wants to play some rugby rather than weighed down by the cares of the world?
I don't know. I think Wales-France, that game is just that game is going to tell us everything we need to know about those two teams at the moment. I think we need that because they've both lost games.
Ireland.
Well, you like Ireland. You've got to like a team that's won 9 on the spin. But this is the acid test for this Irish team. They're playing England, who are unbeaten in 4.
Ireland, well, it's all down to Dublin this weekend, Sunday. After that, we'll tell you. But at the moment, they're where they want to be. Joe Schmidt's clever. We'll see on Sunday.
They are a very, very dangerous team, but I fear that they do miss the midfield threat that you had with O'Driscoll and Darcy. And besides, unless you're going to put Brian in a wheelchair, you've got to change him at some point. And the guys they brought in are rather limited. I think they're going to get exposed by England. Up front, they're as horrible as ever.
This team now is supposed to have been a dip. It was supposed to be a dip 2-3 years ago. It was supposed to be a dip 3 years ago. It's never happened. And now, this weekend, Cian Healy's coming back. He played an excellent game for Leinster last weekend. Sean O'Brien got his game time and all that. These are two of the best rugby forwards in the world, right? So they come back into the pack. There's a young guy called Ian Henderson who's going to be a great player from Ulster. This is arguably, and ironically, Brian O'Driscoll's retired, but ironically this is as good as it's ever been.
And they've got a lot of lions, they've got a lot of experience. They've had a couple of key injuries. Losing Heaslip's obviously a big blow for them. But, O'Connell still leads as a real warrior and a sort of talisman in that side. And they just keep winning. I think it's 9 games on the bounce they've won now. They beat South Africa and Australia in the autumn. They almost beat the All Blacks a year before. They're really building a momentum, and O'Connell's starting to feel confident enough to say they could be coming into sort of World Cup contention as dark horses. And I don't think that's an outrageous claim.
And England.
England, well, it was going to be a shambles, wasn't it? There were so many injuries, and suddenly they've discovered players they didn't know whether they could perform at this level. Finding the 31 for the World Cup squad is going to be horrendous, because England are looking like they're going to be Grand Slam champions.
England, I think, will be quietly very happy with where they are. 2 games, 2 wins, big game in Ireland, but they've won in Cardiff already. I think they're very happy and really looking forward to the weekend.
England have got a good chance, more than just a kind of boxers, a slugger's chance. They've got a decent chance if they build their game right. But at the moment, I think it's pretty much too close to call. If I had to call it, I'd probably say Ireland by 3.
That's a team. I think 10 of the guys who hammered the All Blacks 2 years ago are injured. So that says it all really about the way England have sorted out their underage structures. What is it, 5, 6, 7 years ago? And I think we can outsmart them. But if it becomes down to a power-based game, we can't live with them, unfortunately.
If I said I knew who the winner would be, I think I'd be lying. But I'll go for England.
They just keep finding players. Cruz is another one who's come through and has been excellent. So they look really well set, and the game on Sunday in Dublin is going to be an absolute cracker, I think.
It's why we watch the Six Nations. If you're neutral, you're going to be absolutely glued to the screen. If you're an England supporter, you're just going to hope they don't fall for one of those Irish traps again, because they're so good at setting them.